Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at Tropical Storm Hanna, which is currently south of Louisiana, and it's going to be making its way throughout the western Gulf of Mexico, all the way through Texas, and then back through into Mexico. And it's currently a tropical storm. Yesterday it was a tropical depression. After they did some aircraft recon, they actually found some tropical storm force wind gusts, which I was actually talking about in my last video. I do believe that they did find some tropical storm readings from those wind speeds, and I was saying that they probably should upgrade this to tropical storm. They did indeed do that later yesterday and early this morning. And now we have Tropical Storm Hanna, our fastest that we've ever gone to the H-named storm. In fact, the previous record, the fastest was, I believe, back in 2005, and that was back, I believe, August 2nd, or around the early part of August. So we've already beat that by about 10 or so days. So we are well on track to have a very above average hurricane season, and that's mainly due to the pattern that we're currently in. So let's start looking at your current National Weather Service page. We have heat advisories and excessive heat warnings for the northern plains, red flag warnings for the northwest, another patch of heat advisories for parts of the coastal northwest, and then we have tropical storm warnings and tropical storm watches in effect for parts of Texas and offshore of the Gulf of Mexico. Now, something I also want to talk about, I will be presenting to you guys my personal cone of uncertainty forecast and my intensity guidance for both Tropical Storm Hanna and Tropical Storm Gonzalo, and both of them are in the Atlantic. I'm not going to do one for Douglas just yet, but that's mainly just because there hasn't been too much that changed with Douglas, so we're not really going to talk about Douglas in today's video. So here is your current 5-day graphical outlook from the National Hurricane Center. They have a little yellow shaded area, which is their disturbance that they're pointing out. Within the next 5 days, it has a 30% chance of developing. And actually, I believe about 3 days ago, I was talking about some sort of system, and I believe this is the same exact system that I was talking about of forming, and that could potentially become some sort of tropical storm or hurricane from what the models were pointing out. And in fact, they did put this area out. They upgraded this, I believe, from a 20% chance yesterday to a 30% chance today. So they are increasing in confidence with this. You can also see where Hanna is, which is south of Louisiana, and it's moving westward. And then you can also see where Gonzalo is, right around here, just east of the Lesser Antilles. So let's start off with your Eastern Pacific here. We have within the next 5 days a 10% chance within that yellow region of development of some sort of tropical cyclone, and then you see Douglas all the way off to the left of your screen there. So here is Gonzalo currently, and it's north of Brazil. It's north of northern South America there, and that is going to be heading again westward into the Lesser Antilles. And I believe currently they're actually doing aircraft recon. I believe they started off at this island right here, and they're actually flying into the storm right now to see if they potentially could find some hurricane observations. Now, the models have really decreased this storm strength, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm actually a little bit lower on what I'm actually thinking is going to actually happen. I don't think it's going to be as strong as I expected before. Now, here is your current visible satellite, and you see it is very disorganized and nothing that's too organized currently. You see the low pressure center is right around here, but it is just a big area of cloud cover really and showers, nothing that is going to be too organized. Now, here is the official graphic from the National Hurricane Center. By this time, actually, by yesterday afternoon, they were expecting this to be a hurricane. And that was about 2 days ago. They were saying, I believe, 2 p.m. Thursday, it was supposed to become a hurricane. That actually, now they're bringing this all the way back to 2 p.m. on Saturday. So this would be by, I believe, yeah, it's 2 p.m. on Saturday. That's when they're expecting this to be a hurricane, and then they expect it to weaken into some sort of tropical storm. And just the fact that it's been pushed back so far leads me to believe that either you're going to have a very weak Category 1 hurricane that is going to quickly go back down to a tropical storm, or you're just not even going to see a hurricane at this point. Right now, I'm leaning towards it just being a high-end tropical storm as it impacts parts of the Lesser Antilles. And you see we have tropical storm warnings in effect for parts of the southern end of those islands, and then also hurricane watches up, and also tropical storm watches also up. Now, Here's your model track guidance, and you see most of these models have it hitting the Lesser Antilles and then moving south of the Caribbean islands, and then it looks like it potentially could have some sort of impact with Jamaica and maybe into Cuba. We'll have to see about that. That is a bit farther out. Now, here is your GEFS storm tracks, and these are a little bit further to the north. And this is your American ensemble models, and then here are your Canadian ensemble models, and all of these pretty much have it staying into the Gulf of Mexico as you go further out in time. Now, here's your past observed wind speeds, and we actually did see a small little line of tropical storm force wind speeds observed. Now, here's your chances of seeing your tropical storm force wind speeds, and sometime between probably around Saturday at noontime for the Lesser Antilles, you're most likely going to be seeing those tropical storm force wind speeds and potentially those hurricane force wind speeds. If this does strengthen a little bit more, you have about a 40 to 50% chance of that if you do live in the Lesser Antilles. Now, here's your 58 mile per hour wind speed probabilities, and you see we do have a little area that is of 30 to 40%, which is right around the center, and then we have a larger area of 10 to 20%. Now, here's your chances of seeing hurricane force wind speeds, and you see for the Lesser Antilles, we have about a 5 to 10% chance, and then we have a little area there, 10 to 20% chance. So those numbers actually did, I believe, go down from yesterday. So we are losing confidence in this actually becoming a hurricane by this point. Here's your model intensity guidance, and you see all of these models, except for two of these models, are bringing this just to a tropical storm and middle and tropical storm, and then it's going to weaken as it starts to impact land. Now, here's my personal cone of uncertainty forecast for this. Now, it is going to go through those southern Lesser Antilles, and then it's going to get moved further to the west into the Caribbean, and then potentially it could have an impact with areas in the Dominican or into the Haiti, Jamaica, and then also into southeastern Cuba as it starts to move up into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this is only over the next 5 days from today until the 28th, so definitely that is the time frame that this is going for. So this could definitely re-strengthen as it heads back into the Gulf of Mexico, and I'll definitely make a video on that if that does happen. Now, here is my intensity forecast. I do think it is going to strengthen a little bit as we go through the day today and into tomorrow. But then as you start to get into that 48 to 72 hour time frame, it's going to start to weaken, and it's going to gradually weaken to potentially even a tropical depression within the next 48 to 120 hour time frame. Now, here are your key messages for Tropical Storm Hanna. We're going to transition to talking about Tropical Storm Hanna now. So I'll read these out because it's very short and there's just two of them. The first one says Hanna is forecast to strengthen, and it is expected to bring tropical storm force winds to portions of the Texas coast where tropical storm warning is in effect. And then for the second one, they say Hanna is expected to produce heavy rains across portions of southern Texas. These rains could result in flash flooding and isolated minor to moderate river flooding. Now, here is where Hanna currently is, and again, it's south of Louisiana. It's going to be moving westward into Texas. Now, here is a visible satellite image of this storm, and this is a lot more defined than what we saw with Gonzalo. Now, this is where the low pressure center is, and you see we do have quite a bit of cloud coverage and a lot of thunderstorm activity going on the eastern side of this, not too much on the western side of this. That is a trend that we've been seeing with these storms, and I point that out every time I see it because most of the time, you really don't see too much cloud cover, especially with these less organized system on the western side of these storms. You mainly see them on the eastern side, and that's just because of the way that the storm spins. That leads more of that cloud cover to be only on the eastern side of the storm. Now, here is your cone of uncertainty graphic from the National Hurricane Center. This one is expected to stay as a tropical storm all the way, even when it hits land, it's still going to stay as a tropical storm all the way until Sunday morning, and then as it moves into Mexico, it should stay as a tropical depression. You also see those tropical storm warnings and tropical storm watches in effect for the coastal areas of Texas. Now, here are your past wind fields of this storm. Now, you do see that we did see some tropical storm force wind speeds observed south of central Louisiana there. Now, here's your current wind field of Hanna, and you see the wind field is completely on the eastern side of the storm. So this storm really, you're not going to see too much rainfall out of it as it's starting to approach, and really you're going to see kind of two different waves of this. You're going to see the first initial wave as this this storm starts to move onto land, and then behind it, that's where you're going to see the heavy rainfall. So once it starts to move inland is when the coastal areas will start to actually see their rainfall. Now, here's your rainfall forecast for this. In southern Texas, could see up to maybe even 6 to 10 inches of rainfall, and a little pocket of 10 to 15 offshore. If that does come onshore, that'll definitely be quite devastating. Now, here is your flash flood risk over the next 3 days, and you see we do have a 20% chance in that red region over extreme southern Texas there. Here is your arrival time and your probabilities of seeing tropical storm force winds. Now, we do have most likely a impact or landfall into early Saturday morning into the noontime time frame, and then we're going to see most likely those tropical storm force wind speeds. Now, here's your chances of seeing 58 mile per hour wind speeds out of this, and we do have a little area that's offshore of 5 to 10% chance, and no chance of seeing hurricane wind speeds at this point. Now, over southern Texas is really the bullseye of this. Now, here's the main model track guidance, and you see most of them again eyeing up southern Texas for the storm. Here is your GFS tracks, your GFS ensemble models, and again, they are also showing most of these impacting southern Texas. And the same for the Canadian ensemble models, except for these are a little bit further to the north. Now, here's your Tropical Storm Hanna model intensity guidance. It looks to strengthen a little bit as we get into overnight tonight, and then it's going to weaken as it starts to impact Texas quite dramatically. Now, here is your current aircraft recon for the storm, and you see we do actually have some 45 to 50 mile per hour observations. That's at flight level. Now, if we actually look at some of your observations on this graph, we'll zoom in to where they actually show the surface winds, and that is in that blue line. They did actually see a peak surface wind of about 45 to 50 miles per hour. I'm pretty sure that's just in one isolated gust of wind, but generally it's right around that tropical storm force wind speed. Tropical storm force winds would be right around this, so they are just meeting those tropical storm force wind speeds, and you do have some gusts of above tropical storm force wind speeds. Now, here is my personal forecast for this, again going all the way until the 28th, and you see you're gonna see this storm move further to the west, and then it is gonna impact parts of southern Texas and then move into northern Mexico there. Now, here's my hurricane intensity forecast for this storm, and I am expecting this to stay as a tropical storm all the way until it hits about the next 3 days, and then it's going to start to drop down into a tropical depression, especially as it goes into Texas and as it makes its way onto land. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.